Hey guys, welcome back to our Python programming series. We have been talking about the different sequence type or data types or data structure. In the last episode, we discussed on list. In this episode, we'll go ahead and talk about tuple or tuple. Let's start with some of the properties of the tuple or tuple. It's a collection which is ordered just like the list. But if you recall, the list had the property of a changeable, means updatable. That means if you had added an element, you can go ahead and certainly change it with a different value or different element, but that's not the case with the tuples. So tuples are unchangeable, or sometimes they're also called as immutable Python object. That means once you have configured tuple with certain value, you cannot go ahead and change them. But tuples are also like a sequence, just like the list. That means you can go ahead and access the element and some of the operations that we did earlier on the list. Tuples, when you write a tuple, you use the parentheses to create a tuples. Basically those are nothing but the round brackets. You can have multiple elements. Again, you can have a tuple just with numbers, another with characters, another one just with the combination of both. Let me go ahead and jump directly into the hands-on. That would make more sense. So let's go ahead and create we will go ahead and call it T1. Let's say this is our tuple 1, and the way you create a tuple is using the parentheses. Again, we just went ahead and created an empty tuple. Again, this is also an example of a valid tuple that you can go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and create another tuple, and in this tuple we'll go ahead and create a tuple just with the numbers, so 2, 3, 4 and 5. This is also an example of a valid tuple. Let's go ahead and create another tuple that just contains only the numbers, only the characters in this case. We can have another tuple that contains both the numbers as well as the characters if we need to. So all of these are examples of a valid tuple. This is how you create a tuple using the parentheses or the round bracket. You can very well use again the print function to print a tuple. So let's go ahead and print our tuple 4, and let's go ahead and execute our program. And you can see we just went ahead and printed our first tuple. Again, there are a few things with the tuple that you can go ahead and do that. Again, we can go ahead and access a specific element from the tuple using the index position. So let's go ahead and we want to print the tuple at position number 1. Let's go ahead and execute our program, and we just went ahead and printed the tuple or the item within this tuple at the index position number 1, which is 0, 1. At the 1 we had physics, so that's why the program is printing 1. We kind of learned earlier that the tuples are immutable. That means you cannot go ahead and change that. Let's try doing the same thing. This is the value at the position 1. Now let's go ahead and try changing this position at 1 with some different value, and let's see if we can do that. Let's try changing physics with computer, and once you do that, now let's try printing the whole tuple. Let's print anyway the whole tuple. Now let's try running this program, and let's take a look here. Clearly says, okay, hey, this was this print statement that printed the physics, but after that, if you see here, it says on line number 8 there is some problem, and this is the line number 8. It clearly says, okay, hey, type error, tuple. The system knows, okay, hey, it's a tuple, and it clearly says tuple does not support item assignment. That means you cannot go ahead and change the item's value within a tuple, and that's the reason. And this error says a type error. That means it clearly proves that the tuples or tuples are immutable. That means this operation is not a valid operation. So let me go ahead and comment some of these lines. Again, just like we went through the loop, we can make use of the loops with the on the tuples too. So let's go ahead and do a for loop. For again, just to represent an item, we can make use of any iterating variable. So let's take an iterating variable again, x. For xn, our tuple in this case, let's work with the tuple 4. And what we want to do, we just want to print the value of your x. So if I go ahead and execute this program, it's printing all the elements within that tuple. Let me go ahead and comment this print statement also, and then let's just go ahead and re-execute, and we were able to print all the elements or all the value or items within this tuple. Again, this is a very good thing. Once you know the different functions or different way of working one type of certain data type, a lot of things are common with the other data types. Some of the syntax, how do you access the values and element, and some of the other thing. Again, if you want to delete a tuple, you can make use of the del keyword. So now let me go ahead and show you that one. We can just simply say, okay, hey, I want to print my tuple 4, and later on I just want to delete the tuple, and in this case the tuple is t4. And now let's try printing this tuple and then see what happens if I go ahead and execute. So we printed the tuple first and then we deleted, and later on when we tried printing a tuple, it clearly says, okay, hey, name error, because name T4 is not defined because we had deleted this tuple T4. So there is no more T4, the reference, and that's why the error, it clearly says it's a name error because T4 is not defined anymore. So again, if you want to check if certain item exists within this tuple or not, you can make use of the in keyword. Again, there are a lot of things which are common. You can find the length of the tuple using the length function. You can do the concatenation. You can do the repetition. Iteration we just tested using the for loop. Let me quickly show you the use of the length function. Now let me go ahead and remove some of the things, and we'll just say, hey, find the length of the tuple T4. And once you have the length, print that length for us. And now let's go ahead and execute this program. And it says, okay, the length of this tuple is 4, because remember the counting when we work with the length, it starts with 1, 2, 3, and the fourth item is length is 4. Again, we cannot do or append any elements to the tuple, because if you recall, tuples are immutable or unchangeable. That means we cannot have anything else being added to the tuples. Once tuples are defined, they are there for their life. If you want to add any element to a tuple, the only way is probably just to delete your original tuple, create a new tuple with the more elements that you are really need. Again, there are many more methods with the tuple. There is a count function, there is an index function. Again, tuple does support some of the other operations like indexing, slicing. You can do the max, minimum, some of these functions. So hopefully you get the idea behind the tuple. That'll be all for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.